Full disclaimer before I jump into this video, I'm not entirely sure how coherent it's going to be. I woke up with a pretty bad migraine the other morning, and I am fully into the postrum phase, which basically means it feels like I took a couple of Benadryl about half an hour ago, so I'm going to do my best. But I did want to make this video anyways because it's a really fun conversation, and I don't see a ton of people having this particular conversation. We're going to be talking about, yes indeed, the Apple Vision Pro. You had to be wondering if I was going to make a video or not, and here it is. Now, I'm not going to be critiquing the Apple Vision Pro in any significant way because I do not own one. I have not touched one. I do not plan on owning one. So, of course, I have no in-depth thoughts about its use, its usefulness, etc., etc. I will instead be talking about its broader effect on the VR world and what I think about VR more broadly. I think that if you're a fan of virtual reality, or as we'll talk about a bit later on, augmented and mixed reality, I think you should probably be happy that the Apple Vision Pro exists, even if you think it's dumb, even if you think it's overpriced, even if you're not an Apple fan, on and on and on. Even if you straight up hate the thing, but you like VR, AR, MR, you should be happy that it exists because it is going to make life better for you, better for all VR users in general. So from my own firsthand experience, I have an Oculus Quest 2. I guess it's a Meta Quest 2, although mine was an Oculus when I bought it. So that's what I'm going to call it. And I've had that thing for a while and I enjoy it. I play a boxing game on there a few days a week for some exercise. That's pretty much all I do with it at this point. But when the Apple Vision Pro was announced and they started showing some of the use cases, right, where they've got all these screens floating in space, obviously I look at that and I think, well, I'm never going to buy that thing because it's $3,500, and I think that that's just way more than I would be willing to spend for any VR headset. But I do know that the Quest 3 exists, and it has its cameras for a much better pass-through than the Quest 2, and they're showing very similar use cases, and it kind of got me interested, right? So I wasn't that interested in the Quest 3 until I saw the Vision Pro, and then I thought, I kind of want to check out the Quest 3 now to see how close it is to what I'm seeing from the Vision Pro. Now, I actually went out and I bought a Quest 3. I only had it for about a week because I determined it was not worth the 500 plus tax that I paid for it. I returned it and went back to using my Quest 2 because it is more than sufficient. But my point here is that the Vision Pro kind of got me to buy the Quest 3, and I think that's going to happen with a lot of people. You're going to see the hype around these sorts of devices, and a lot of people, they're going to get hyped up. They're going to want to check one out. They're going to look at the Vision Pro, and they're going to go, well, that's the price of a car, so I'm not going to buy that. I'll buy the Meta Quest 3, and I'll spend $550. Wow, what a value, what a bargain that is. And beyond just, I think, selling VR headsets that aren't the Apple Vision Pro, it's going to have another big impact as well. It's going to lead to more app development, and it's going to lead app development. There are things that people are talking about how great this is on the Vision Pro that the Quest 3 can already kind of do, but maybe not to the extent or maybe not in the same implementation as what we see on the Vision Pro. And because of that, what I believe we're going to see is I believe we're going to see development on devices like the Quest 3 to more closely match what the Vision Pro is doing. Now, yes, it's going to be at a lower fidelity, but I think we're going to get closer and closer. With the Quest 3 already, heck, even on my Quest 2, you can fire this thing up and either use an app like Fluid that allows you to be in this little workspace and launch multiple web browser windows, or you can do the same thing more or less natively inside of the Quest operating system. You can fire up different web browser windows and different applications and have them floating around you. You can turn on pass-through mode and, again, at lower fidelity, do the same sorts of things as you're seeing on the Vision Pro at, 1/7 of the price. And I think that it's only going to get closer. Now, look, the Vision Pro is going to continue iterating and the software is going to get better. But I think that the Quest devices are going to take that lead from, not necessarily take the lead from the Vision Pro, but take the Vision Pro's lead and follow them down these paths. Because, as I very firmly believe, VR is not the future. It is not what we're all going to be using in 10 years. If we're going to be using any kind of a headset, It's not going to be VR in the state that we currently see. It's going to be nothing like this. Apple recognizes this. I think Meta kind of recognizes this. What do I mean? Well, what I mean is headsets that you wear on your face that are these big, huge, hulking things that cover up your face. That's just not where this is headed. And the reason I think Apple knows this is twofold. Fold number one, they refuse to call it a VR headset, which it absolutely is. They're trying to kind of redefine the terminology. Number two, every demo you see of this thing, you are using a pass-through. You're using those high-quality cameras to see the world around you, and you've got floating windows, okay? So they're using a VR headset, but what they're doing is more AR or MR. I know these have slightly different definitions. I'm kind of using them almost interchangeably. Just roll with me. You know what I mean. There's a difference between VR, which is where you are fully transported to another place, versus AR or MR, where you are in the room you're in, you can see the people around you. You're no longer isolated, which is one of the big problems with VR, but you've got things around you. You've got little screens floating, you've got a HUD, you've got your notifications, whatever it might be. You're watching a movie or something on a screen, but you're not totally isolated from the people around you. And I think that's one of the biggest, if not the biggest problem for VR headsets. They do really, really cool things, but they are inherently isolating. People talk about how I'm watching movies on my Vision Pro, and it's the best screen I've ever seen. It looks amazing, but you are inherently alone while doing this. You're sitting on your couch watching Oppenheimer. It's amazing, and your wife, your kid, your friend, your sister, your parent, they're in the room. They don't get to take part in any of that, right? Like, they can't see anything that you're seeing. And yes, that could potentially be fixed down the road with some software, but what are we talking about? Like, everybody in the room has an Apple Vision Pro and they sync up. I mean, how much money are we talking about spending? This is just not feasible. And that is why, to me, I don't think VR is the future. I think people are humans. People are by their nature social, and any experience like that that can't be shared with other people, one, I don't think is good for us long term, to spend all your time with this thing on by yourself, only seeing things that, or I guess primarily seeing things that only you can see. I don't think that's going to be good for us. But two, I don't think a lot of people are going to be into that. I think they're going to want to show people stuff. I know even with my Quest 2, when I put it on and I'm doing something cool and I'm like, I wish I could show this to somebody, and there's no great way to do it. I can cast it to my TV, but that's not the same experience as what I'm having. It is a major limitation. Now, the reason they're doing this is because the hardware just isn't there yet. I'm sure they would much rather have like a pair of glasses that look like regular glasses. You wear them and they're capable of popping up all these windows, and it's perfect pass-through because it's just glass, but somehow there's a screen that's there in the glass. We've seen things kind of like this already with like the AR glasses and things like that. Just think of like an incredibly advanced version of that. Think of a combination between like a pair of AR glasses and something like what the Vision Pro is doing. Maybe it pairs to your phone or something like that, and you've got all these floating windows, but you can see through it, right? So that's kind of what they're doing, but they're doing it with today's tech, which is just a really powerful VR headset that has cameras on it. And I actually believe that we're going to have glasses like this that you're going to be able to do VR type things with. Do you remember that phone? I think it was from Oppo back in the day, and I think we've seen it in cars as well, where there's a pane of glass and you run a current through it and it turns the glass dark. It turns them into sunglasses, or it turns them into like a different color. I think we're going to have glasses that are going to use things like that, where you can have it in pass-through mode, which you're just looking through glass. It's perfect pass-through, but you're going to be able to hit a button and they turn dark, or they turn so dark that you basically now have a fully immersive screen. Maybe there's like a little thing you'll put over the top of them to block out light as well if you want to go that route. I think we're really going to be able to do these sorts of things, and it's not going to be that long from now. At the end of the day, I truly believe that the Apple Vision Pro is almost certainly the best virtual reality headset that money can buy, as well it should be, given the price to buy one. I also believe the press the notoriety, the excitement around this device will trickle down to cheaper devices like the ones made by Meta, and it's going to improve those experiences as well. This is going to get more people into VR than ever before, but by doing this, we're going to more and more strongly highlight the weaknesses with the VR concept as we, I believe, maybe you disagree with me, but as I believe we do move towards a different style of device. When it comes to the Apple Vision Pro, most people probably don't need to buy a Ferrari. Most people are going to be more than happy with their Camry, but every now and again, Ferrari or Bugatti, or pick your luxury car brand of choice, they innovate in some way. And then the cheaper brands, like your Toyotas, say, hey, what if we did something like that, but a whole lot cheaper? What corners can we cut to get this feature to our customers? They arrive a couple years later, and that rising tide indeed does raise all sails. I kind of think that's where we are with these devices, guys. Those are my somewhat long-winded thoughts on the Apple Vision Pro, and just sort of, I guess, more accurately, the VR world in general, where I think we're going. I'd love to know what you think in the comments down below. Do you think that in 5-10 years, we're still going to be using VR headsets, or do you think we will have, like I think, found a new way around this? We're not going to be looking at the world through cameras. I think we're going to be looking at the world with our eyes, and things are going to be augmented in front of us. Let me know what you think about that in those comments down below. Do you have an Apple Vision Pro? Did you buy one? Are you going to buy one? Did it encourage you to buy a Quest 3? What do you think of VR headsets in general? So much to talk about in regard to this subject, guys. So have that conversation in the comments down below. Thanks for watching. Subscribe for more content like this. And until next time, stay nerdy, my friends.